What is up, guys? It's me, TheGamingD, and welcome back to another video. Guys, we're here for the Hell in the Cell 2020 review. It's from the entire show, the pay-per-view. It ended a few hours ago, and I'm here to talk about the entire show and all of the matches and my thoughts and just things that stuck out in each match. And then at the end, I'll obviously let you know how I really felt about this pay-per-view. So beginning the show with the kickoff show, we have R-Truth versus Drew Gulak for the 24/7 title. R-Truth won. It's like a typical match that they would normally have. R-Truth won. It was kind of like a roll-up type thing, the way he won. And then just obviously the normal people would run out and try to get R-Truth and the 24/7 title and all that. So that's what happened on the pre-show. For the main show, we started off the night with Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns in a Hell in a Cell / I Quit match for the Universal title. And Roman Reigns won the match. That's not really a surprise. Like I expected him to win. I couldn't really see them putting the title on Jey just yet. Maybe in a year from now if he does more single stuff. But yeah, Roman won the match. During the match, it was very back and forth with, them, one person beating the one person up, then them switching, and it kept going like that, and it wasn't one-sided the entire match like some of these matches are. After when the ref wanted to stop the match because Roman was just obliterating Jey. And he got in the ring and was about to go ring the bell, and Roman ended up throwing him out of the ring, which, yeah, that happened. And then after he threw him out of the ring, he continued to attack Jey, and all of the refs and some officials ended up coming out and stopping Roman, which I don't understand why. It's an I Quit match. You gotta say I quit. Before Roman Reigns ended up crushing Jey, he was going to crush him with the steel steps in the middle of the ring. Jimmy Uso ended up coming out and saving him from getting his head smashed in. But that ended up, Roman and Jimmy were like crying, and Roman was saying sorry, that he felt bad and all this stuff, and he ends up, when they go in for a hug, he ends up choking out Jimmy. And while he's choking out Jimmy, Jey is just saying, "Man, I quit. Let him go." And that's how that match ended. It was definitely a heavy hitter. I think it was a good match overall. They got good chemistry since they're family, and they just know each other really well, so they did a really good job. And then after the match itself, when Roman was walking down the ramp, Roman's dad and uncle ended up coming out as the tribal chiefs, and they ended up putting a lei onto Roman's neck, which is the necklace thing of like flowers. And he stood next to them, and basically he's now at the head of the table. And that was the whole point of that scene, and they acknowledge that he belongs at the head of the table. So yeah, that was that match. Sorry, let me fix it's squeaking a little bit, I don't know why. But yeah, that was that match. It wasn't bad. It was actually a good starter. Kind of slow, but good starter. The next match here, we have Elias versus Jeff Hardy, and Elias won by disqualification. Now, the way I explain this match is it's the I'd say it's the bathroom break match. of the pay-per-view. I'd say there's 2 of those on this, maybe 3 of these, I guess, on this entire pay-per-view. But this is one of them. Like, this thing happened freaking 6 months ago, and they know who the person was that hit Elias, that it was Sheamus, and Sheamus basically admitted it, and they had their whole rivalry, and now Elias is back and he's trying to get revenge when it's known that it was Sheamus, and it's just dumb. And yeah, Elias ended up winning by DQ because he went out to go grab the guitar, but Hardy ended up grabbing it from him and then breaking it over him. So yeah, that was that. And the next match was Otis versus The Miz. Winner gets the Money in the Bank contract, and The Miz won. The match was boring overall. I wasn't really like a fan of it, but I kind of like the ending. So the way it ended was, what's his name? John Morrison ended up getting on top of the apron, was about to hit Otis with the briefcase, but the ref stopped him, kicked him out. He dropped the briefcase. Tucker ended up picking it up. They end up fighting in the ring, continuing. And then Otis goes to, I think, bounce off the ropes or something, and Tucker ends up smashing him in the face with the briefcase, causing him to lose, and The Miz is now Mr. Money in the Bank. So it's basically 2010 again, and you'll know why. You'll know why after, by the end of this review. But yeah, he's Money in the Bank holder again. It is what it is. Either way, I didn't think it was a good idea for any one of those people to have the briefcase, because The Miz isn't really, he's kind of like part-time. Like, he shows up every week, but he feels like he's part-time, because he doesn't wrestle every week. He does like these little skits and all that stuff, but yeah, but they set up a rivalry between Tucker and Otis, so I think that's gonna be different. It's gonna be very different. I'm sorry if you can like hear my headset. It's like squeaking. I don't. Ah, man, this headset, man, I tell you, freaking yeah. They told me to get some freaking whatchamacallums. Hear that? All right, hopefully that fixes it. The next match was Sasha Banks versus Bayley for the SmackDown Women's title in a Hell in the Cell match, and the winner was Sasha Banks via submission. Now, I didn't watch all this match. I actually went to the bathroom during this match. I didn't go to the one during the Elias and Jeff Hardy one. I was thinking about it, but I ended up holding off. This match has kind of been lingering for a while. It's kind of like the Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton thing. It's just been lingering for a long time. And I wasn't really too interested in it, so I was just like, I'll go to the bathroom. But from what I saw, it was a very good match. They're another one of those people that have great chemistry, and they did a really, really good job tonight during that pay-per-view. It's crazy. At the end of it, the last few minutes, it made you really on the edge of your seat, and it's like, who's gonna win? Because there's so many different times where, like, oh, you think Bayley's gonna win, you think Sasha's gonna win, oh, what's gonna happen? But the way Sasha ended up winning was she got Bayley in the bank statement and ended up having the chair that Bayley carries around with that she crushed Sasha's neck with. ended up using that around her neck while doing the bank statement, and she like tapped out almost immediately. And just the ending like picture of that match is like Sasha holding the belt up with her foot on Bayley's back, and it's like, yo, you won and you deserve it. Like, she definitely should have been SmackDown Women's Champion a while ago. So I like that a lot. Then the next match that you can tell it was just thrown in there, like they just didn't know what else to put. Like they could have put the IC Championship, could have done that match, you know, have some championship match for that. You could have done the women's tag titles. You could have done the Raw tag titles, you know, the SmackDown tag titles. You could have even did the Cruiserweight Championship if you wanted to. But they had Slapjack from Retribution versus Bobby Lashley for the U.S. title. Lashley ended up winning, obviously. It was another match that was very boring. There's a few botches from Slapjack. He did like a drop kick and didn't even touch Bobby, but Bobby sold it because, you know, he's a trooper. And at the end of the match, Retribution ends up attacking Bobby Lashley, and then they end up running away once the Hurt Business ends up showing up. So, man, I don't understand what they're doing with Retribution. Like, they hyped them up like they were gonna be like the next Nexus, or even the next Core, like the knockoff Nexus, and you know, it's just not good. Not good at all. It's very, very disappointing what they've been doing with that so far. But after that was the co-main event. So now the main event is the Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton in a Hell in a Cell for the WWE Championship. And Randy Orton finally won the championship. He is a 14-time WWE champion, which I love it, man. I've been wanting, if you follow me on Twitter, if you don't follow me, stuff will be on the screen throughout the video, most likely, and in the description. Finally, I've been saying on Twitter for ages, for the past few pay-per-views, I've been like, Randy Orton better win that championship. He better, if they don't, you know, they're blowing it. And then tonight, I was like, if Randy Orton does not win this championship, they just wasted months of all this good storytelling between these two. And they finally delivered, man. They finally delivered when it came to this rivalry. So, to start it off, doing the entrances, Drew McIntyre came out first. So normally it's the opponent and then the champion ends up. That's how it goes. Like, opponent first, champion second. But the champion came out first, so I'm like, okay, where's Orton? Like, he's gonna do something. And he ended up dressing up as a cameraman and ends up attacking Drew, but Drew immediately knew that he was gonna do something. But the whole beginning of the match was Drew's match. Like, from that point on, he just carried it and was just beating the hell out of Randy Orton. Alright, this thing is bugging the hell out of me again. So from there, we have Randy Orton ends up climbing the cell. He climbs the side of the cell. So they're wrestling outside for a bit, and he ends up, you know, they end up going in, they lock it, fighting a little bit, and Orton ends up getting bolt cutters. I don't know why there's bolt cutters inside of the cell. Makes sense. But he ends up getting out, climbing up the cage, and while he's, on the top of it, he's like kneeling, looking down at Drew, and it's like he's just looking at him like, come on, come get me, type of thing, which was nice. It was really cool to see them go up there. Once they got up there, they ended up fighting a little bit. Orton ended up sneaking a pipe up there earlier in the day, I'm guessing, and tried to use it on Drew a couple times. I think he used it once, but it really wasn't really a factor. Then they end up going from like ramp side to why is this thing squeaking so much? They end up going from ramp side to over to the announcer's table side, and with doing that, while they're climbing down, Drew ends up getting knocked off and went through the announcer's table from like halfway up the cell. So typical spot that they do. They've done it with Dolph Ziggler recently. They did it with Kevin Owens a couple times. Shane McMahon. They've done it a few times within the past few years. I'd say within the past 5 years, they've done it probably 5 times. Or they've done it with Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose. Like, they've done it with a lot of people. And it's the same spot every time. They need to come up with something else. But yeah, they did that. Drew ends up... It's like he's dragging himself back around into the cage, into the ring. And Randy's just like standing there watching him, but he's looking at him like he's trying to like help him into the ring. He's like not being aggressive. He's trying to like grab him, pick him up a little bit. Then he drags himself into the ring. It ends up... He drags himself into the ring and ends up doing a Claymore to Randy Orton. And the second he hits the Claymore, Randy Orton rolls out of the ring. So Drew gets up, gets Randy Orton, puts him back in the ring, goes for another Claymore, and Randy Orton ends up reversing it into an RKO, and that's how he won it. And it was honestly, like, the way I'm explaining it doesn't seem like it was an exciting match, but it was a good one. It was a good way for Randy to win the match. I think it would have been more impressive from the last pay-per-view if Orton would have won after, Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels, The Big Show, Christian, and Drew, doing their thing on him. If he would have won after that would have been amazing. But the way he won this match really made it perfect, Like, Orton deserved that. It's been months, and I think they just need to keep going with this Randy Orton character that they have right now. They can't change it. They can't change it at all, because if they do, it's just going to ruin it. And I think they need to stay with him being as much of a heel as he is. People need to hate him, and I think he needs to hold this championship for like a year. And then we need like someone else to just come along. And I know what's going to happen. The Miz, now that he's on Raw and he has the Money in the Bank briefcase, he's going to end up cashing it in at some point on Randy Orton. Or Drew's going to win it back and then he's going to cash it in that night or something. I don't know. They're going to have one hell of a match, but yeah, it was a good pay-per-view overall. There was 3 out of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So basically it's a 50-50. 3 out of the 6 are not worth watching. But it's mainly the main championships. So like Universal title match, need to watch. SmackDown Women's title, need to watch. WWE title, need to watch. So like those are the matches that you should go watch. But yeah, that's my review. If I was to rate it out of 10 for this year, pay-per-view wise, I'd rate it I'd rate it an 8. Maybe 7 point, yeah, 7.5. 7.5 out of 10 out of all this year. Because so far, I'd say Royal Rumble is number 1. And then the WrestleMania is number 2. Those are my top 2 pay-per-views so far this year. But you know, this is a 7.5 out of 10. It's not terrible, but it could be better. There's some things that could have been better. But yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy this review, me talking about this pay-per-view. If you guys have any thoughts on what happened tonight, please let me know. And yeah, so I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.